You're listening to KSG Podcast. This is a short, crisp, concise, exam-oriented, edited editorial for civil services aspirants. In this podcast, we are going to talk about European Union ground rules for web. Source for the content is Shruti Dhapola's article for the Indian Express. The European Parliament and European Union member states announced in April 2022 that they had reached a political agreement on the Digital Services Act's DSA, a landmark legislation to force big internet companies to act against disinformation and illegal and harmful content and to provide better protection for internet users and their fundamental rights. The act, which is yet to become law, was proposed by the EU Commission in December 2020. As defined by the EU Commission, the DSA is a set of common rules on intermediaries, obligations, and accountability across the single market and ensures higher protection to all EU users, irrespective of the country. The proposed act will work in conjunction with the EU's Digital Markets Act, which was approved last month. The DSA is likely to be adopted by the EU Parliament in the next few months. Once adopted, it will apply from 15 months or from 1st of January 2024, whichever is later. Now, what is the DSA and to whom will it apply? The DSA will tightly regulate the way intermediaries, especially large platforms such as Google, Facebook, and YouTube, function when it comes to moderating user content. Instead of letting platforms decide how to deal with the abusive or illegal content, the DSA will lay down specific rules and obligations for these companies to follow. According to the EU, DSA will apply to a large category of online services from simple websites to internet infrastructure services and online platforms. The obligations for each of these will differ according to the size and role. The legislation brings in its ambit platforms that provide internet access, domain name registrars, hosting services such as cloud computing and web hosting services, but more importantly, very large online platforms, that is VLOPs, and very large online search engines will face more stringent requirements. Any service with more than 45 million monthly active users in the EU will fall into this category. Those with fewer than 45 million monthly active users in the EU will be exempt from certain new obligations. Once the DSA becomes law, each EU member state will have the primary role in enforcing these, along with a new European Board for Digital Services. The EU Commission will carry out enhanced supervision and enforcement for the VLOPs and VLOCs. VLOCs are very large online search engines. Penalties for breaching these rules could be huge, as high as 6% of the company's global annual turnover. Now, what do the new rules state? A wide range of proposals seeks to ensure that the negative social impact arising from many of the practices followed by the internet giants is minimized or removed. Online platforms and intermediaries such as Facebook, Google, YouTube, etc., will have to add new procedures for faster removal of content deemed illegal or harmful. This can vary according to the laws of each EU member state. Further, these platforms will have to clearly explain their policy on taking down content. Users will be able to challenge these takedowns as well. Platforms will need to have a clear mechanism to help users flag content that is illegal. Platforms will have to cooperate with trusted flaggers. Now, marketplaces such as Amazon will have to impose a duty of care on sellers who are using their platform to sell products online. They will have to collect and display information on the products and services sold in order to ensure that consumers are properly informed. The DSA adds an obligation for very large digital platforms and services to analyze systemic risks they create and to carry out risk reduction analysis. This audit for platforms like Google and Facebook will need to take place every year. Companies will have to look at the risk of dissemination of illegal content, adverse effects on fundamental rights, manipulation of services having an impact on democratic processes and public security, adverse effects on gender based violence, and on minors and serious consequences for the physical or mental health of users. The Act proposes to allow independent, vetted researchers to have access to public data from these platforms to carry out studies to understand these risks better. The DSA proposes to ban dark patterns or misleading interfaces that are designed to trick users into doing something that they would not agree to otherwise. This includes forcible pop up pages, giving greater prominence to a particular choice, etc. The proposed law requires that customers be offered a choice of a system which does not recommend content based on their profiling. The DSA incorporates a new crisis mechanism clause. It refers to the Russia Ukraine conflict, which will be activated by the Commission on the recommendation of the Board of National Digital Services Coordinators. However, these special measures will only be in place for 3 months. This clause will make it possible to analyze the impact of the activities of these platforms on the crisis, and the Commission will decide the appropriate steps to be taken to ensure the fundamental rights of users are not violated. The law proposes stronger protection for minors and aims to ban targeted advertising for them based on their personal data. It also proposes transparency measures for online platforms on a variety of issues, including on the algorithms used for recommending content or products to users. Finally, it says that canceling a subscription should be as easy as subscribing. That's it for this explainer. Thank you so much for watching. To join KSG India courses and to crack the ICE exam, visit ksgindia.com. You can also get a PDF of this explainer on ksgindia.com. Thanks for listening.